coming off of SummerSlam this past weekend. A good show overall. A good time had by all. Great weather in Minneapolis. Summer slam it did feel right. 80 something degrees every day there, sunny. So warm weather, summer like atmosphere. I had amazing seats. I have to say. So I enjoyed myself from that. And that's with the deal, right? I will tell you, I'll share this here on air here. I did reveal to some people. So there was a club level. I was in a club level, which means that when you come onto the concourse where my section was located, there was like four sections that all shared this one similar concourse. The concourse had tables and chairs and a fountain. So if you bought a drink, you could just go refill it anytime you wanted. You could go up to a bar and get drinks, concessions with no lines. And night number two got there early because I didn't have enough time to go out to dinner with a 5 o'clock start. It makes it tough, right?
Yeah.
So got there early, got there like 4 o'clock. Maybe a little after, so I could just get food at the place and hang out, just chill there, and not have to actually go to my seat. Like I said, hang out in the club area and like lounging area and a table and like you're at a restaurant. And some people came up to me. We started talking wrestling, right? You know, where you from? That whole thing. And they were people who bought tickets on the pre-sale, which I know what it's like because I've done it for WrestleMania. And they had seats in my section, of course, right? Because we're all in that section. And they paid. They didn't like what I told them. About $450 per night for the seats that I paid. About, like I said, under about $70. So
So obviously they were pretty ticked off.
yeah, so they paid about 5 times a night. Yeah, give or take the math. 5 times a night what I paid
That's painful.
per night. So like that's 10 times, 5 times Saturday, 5 times Sunday. But hey, I've been there. We've all done it. We learn, we live, we learn. But like I say, great seats, great time. I will say one weird thing is that the event was indoors, but I know you probably could see it on television. The roof is all glass and the side is all glass. So the sun was shining in there like we were in a greenhouse. And I was like, I wish this show started at 8 o'clock Eastern, whatever. Like it couldn't get dark fast enough. I was like, I cannot wait for the sun to go down. Luckily, it went down enough to go away. But like it was very bright in there. Looks like you were like in a greenhouse. Felt like we're in a greenhouse. Had to like put your sunglasses on, being indoors, kind of thing. And yes, obviously everyone who wasn't there talks about the attendance. And I say that because once you're in those things, you move on and you watch the show. And that's what we're all here for. SummerSlam, an overall good event. And coming off of SummerSlam, I think the most notable news, that's probably the most news as of late, right? We fast forward to Brock Lesnar's official retirement. He made it known on the Pat McAfee show. We all kind of knew it was happening. Brock Lesnar, 49 years old, makes his retirement. Only 400 or so matches in his career, which is very little. The most matches in a WWE career is Kane with over 2,800. Most of your John Cena's and such have over 2,000. But Brock Lesnar under 400. There's probably some people who got called up from NXT 2 years ago who have more than that. So what do you make? Like what to me is the lasting image of Brock Lesnar, and why we all know he's a Hall of Famer. Everybody's a Hall of Famer in this day and age. Why is he a Hall of Famer? And what is it that you enjoyed most about Brock Lesnar in his time?
I think in a way, he brought some of that like realism to WWE, where because he was a legit badass. Like he went to the UFC, won the championship over there, came back, and he just tore the house down. Because here's the thing, I'm not trying to say this in a bad way, but there are some wrestlers that we have in WWE that if you saw them on the street, maybe a person that's a little bit more trained in like the MMA style could take them in a one-on-one situation, more times than not. Brock Lesnar is not one of those people. Brock Lesnar, when he walks into a room and you see the ears, the cauliflower ears, you're not going to mess with a guy with cauliflower ears. Simple as that. Chad Gable's another guy at a much smaller level, a guy that's a legit badass that could take you, kick your ass. And I think Brock brought that toughness that style, he brought more attention to it. And I think there was some crossover between WWE and UFC, obviously with Brock Lesnar. And I don't think Ronda Rousey comes to WWE if it wasn't for a Brock Lesnar. I don't see that happening. I think Brock Lesnar opened that door where you could bounce around between a real fight situation and more of a performance situation. And so I think in Brock Lesnar, to me, what a hell of a negotiator. You just said it. 400-ish matches in his entire career, and he made millions of dollars doing it. It just shows you the draw and the appeal of Brock Lesnar. And honestly, seeing how he went out, I thought it was that last match with Obafemi, couldn't ask for a better way for him to go out. He obviously, you mentioned kind of tongue in cheek, he's a Hall of Famer. Everybody's a Hall of Famer, but he's legit like a first ballot quote unquote Hall of Famer. He could be in the Hall of Fame next year at WrestleMania, and nobody's gonna bat an eyelash.
I think it'd be I think it'd probably be a decent spot because we know he's somebody who's, let's say, not afraid, right? Because he's been part of these big supercards over in Saudi Arabia. So might as well have him be in the Hall of Fame in Saudi Arabia. He's not somebody like a honky tonk man who might say, I got a bad knee, I'm going to turn that one down. Tell me when you're back in Minneapolis. He's
if
somebody.
You pay Brock enough, Brock will go.
Yeah, well, exactly. So, some of these other kind of fringe Hall of Famers are people who are getting up there in age who might not want to make the trip to Saudi Arabia to do that, right? Maybe want to bring their grandkids and things like that. They're people who might wait a year or two, but Brock Lesnar is perfect for Saudi Arabia to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's funny that you talk about legit badasses is because obviously part of our intro here on the podcast is from a man who world champion, Hall of Famer, one of the best to ever do it, like literally on the Mount Rushmore, if you will, of WWE superstars. And yet some Marines pulled him out of a convertible in our hometown, Syracuse, New York, and beat him up pretty good, getting him out of action for a little while. I'm talking about Shawn Michaels.
Yes.
Brock Lesnar, that is not the case for him. And
Brock Lesnar walks into a room,
yeah,
you're going to go shake his hand, you're going to be very respectful. Because Brock, if he wants to, he could rip you to shreds and you wouldn't even know it. You wouldn't even see it coming. But by all accounts, there's even, I don't know if you saw Bruce Pritchard put out a post back in the day. Brock knocked over a wall and pretty much shattered Bruce Pritchard's face. And Brock obviously felt bad because he wasn't trying to hurt anybody. He just got pissed off and he knocked the wall over because he's a freak of nature. But he took care of Bruce. He, got some food for him and, things like that. He does that kind of stuff. Like people look at Brock Lesnar and he's this tough, badass guy that you don't want to mess with. But I mean, you saw with Obafemi and everything, like, what we saw with Obafemi, you could see that if he likes you, he's going to push you and he's going to help you get to the mountaintop. But even if you're just a fan and you see him out and about, he's a private guy, but he's he comes off very approachable. And I appreciate that about Brock Lesnar. He's a private guy. He has his farmland in Canada, and all that. But if you see him out, he's going to make you feel like you're the only person in the room. And I can appreciate about Brock Lesnar. A lot of people don't talk about that, but there's been some really great stories of his interactions with fans, obviously in the more recent years, but overall. So I think as a whole, a badass, but an approachable badass that you could have a nice conversation with. And maybe we'll cross paths someday. That'd be kind of cool.
Brock Lesnar, only 83 matches since his return in 2012 after taking that stint with UFC. So really the bulk, because 400 seems like a lot even for him. Like obviously John Cena, we said over 2,000. But Brock Lesnar was really only a full-time competitor from 2002 until 2004, and the bulk of his match, over 300 of his matches, happened in those 2 years from his debut right after WrestleMania 18 and his departure at WrestleMania 20 in 2004. Then his return in 2012. He's only had 83 matches since then. Anytime he's been on television since 2012, it has essentially been a pay-per-view television show, like not house show circuit. He's not doing that like he might have done in the first part of his career. I'll ask you, you talked about Ronda Rousey. Does CM Punk get an opportunity in the UFC without Brock Lesnar?
No, I don't think he does. I really don't. Brock Lesnar's appeal, like I said, the crossover appeal, he kind of opened the floodgates to kind of go back and forth, legitimately. And obviously, CM Punk's time in UFC is he probably wants to forget it, just kind of like Mark Wahlberg wants people to forget that he's Marky Mark in the Funky Bunch. I think he wants to forget that a little bit. But I do believe Brock Lesnar opened that door for folks to go one way, folks to go the other way, and I'll stand by that. I think that's really what happened.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about Brock's last match, and do we think that the Hell in a Cell was just a gimmick to sell tickets? Because I'm not saying it's the worst Hell in a Cell match ever, but it's definitely up there in regards to we waste a lot of time dropping that cell, setting that cell up, having all the fun and talk about the cell. But then, I mean, no use of the cell at all. Like, we didn't do anything with this.
But it was almost a 12-minute match, which is unheard of for Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, and I mean, this also had to be Brock Lesnar's retirement match because, to be honest with you, I mean, Obafemi no sells his like multiple 3 F5s or whatever in a row, and then gets him on one sit down power bomb.
Here's the thing, though. If people want to argue that, why don't we just go watch AEW every week and you see them no selling for things that are the most ridiculous things in the world? So, I mean, to me, I hate that gripe. I don't like the whole people are mad about the no sells. I don't really care if you're no selling on one show or the other. To me, why can't we all just enjoy wrestling and just, even if you're an AEW person, that's cool. If you're a WWE person, that's cool. I like it all. I might watch some more than others, but I'm a wrestling fan. So like, if we're no selling, that doesn't bother me.
I was okay with the Seth Rollins Roman Reigns match with all the kickouts of the finishers and things like that. A little more than the Brock and Oba match because of I guess my thing is, if he's going to kick out, why not just do one of your finishers, right? Like, is there a reason you have to really emasculate yourself? Speaking from Brock Lesnar's perspective, is there a reason why, like, early on, listen, if we're later in the match, this is a 30-minute match. This has been going on for ages. But, like, early in the match, he's just, like, going through the finishers a lot. And you're like, why are we doing this kind of thing? If he's going to kick out, like, what is the point? He's going to beat you, sure. And he's going to kick out his stuff. But I guess my thing is why, like, empty the tank early if, he's going to kick out. I just thought that was just kind of like, what are we doing with it? Not even from an Oba perspective, but from a Brock. Like, why are we doing this? Why are we putting our finishers on like this?
I think it's, in a way, to me, and it was, and Brock said it, after the match, this is pretty much like the old guard. This is the new guard. And I think the way they sold that match and the way they did that match, it was showing like, okay, Brock did all his moves that he's gotten. He's won so many matches and championships over the years, but this new guard comes in and says, the hell with that. You're going to have to do 1 million of them to get me to stay down for 3. It just, to me, it is a passing of the torch. And it was Brock's way of saying, hey, I'm not doing this anymore. Oba's the guy that's going to be kicking everybody's ass for the next 20 years until he does that to somebody else where he passes it to the next generation of some kid who's probably not even alive yet. Like that's kind of like, that's wrestling. That's wrestling 101. You want to pass the torch from one badass of a generation to another badass of a generation. So to me, Oba's a made man. I think we all know that. Like, he literally, his music doesn't play and people are already chanting for him. Like, he's the most over wrestler in all promotions right now. He's just, anywhere he goes, like, he's the draw. He's the draw right now. He's going to make a shit ton of money for WWE going forward. And he's made a lot of money for him. And honestly, when Brock puts that kind of like that rub on him like that, and same thing, Paul Heyman did that on Raw this week too. He's a made man. Mm-hmm. And I also like the fact that there's another guy who was supposed to be the next big thing that's already getting pissed off, aka Braun Breaker, with Obafemi. I'm looking forward to the next steps because I just want them to continue that momentum, showing everybody that Obafemi is the guy. And what better way to do that than to have his next big match and story with Braun Breaker? That's going to be a lot of fun. Just don't drop the ball at WWE. You got to do it
I
right.
think with Obafemi, if you want to give anybody else the Brock Lesnar treatment, you got to start slower. You can't just have him go up against the top guys like Braun Breaker in that Hoss versus Hoss, Beast versus Beast kind of matchup because you don't want to exhaust all of those things, right? What Brock Lesnar, remember, the first person Brock Lesnar attacked was the Hardy Boys. Jeff Hardy threw him around, those kind of things. His first, I would say, person of size that he beat that you go, wow, okay, was The Rock at SummerSlam when he won the title. I mean, along the way to winning King of the Ring, he's beating mid-carders to kind of build himself up. And then obviously, since then, he's beating up the Kofi Kingston of the world to get the title back on his shoulders and things.
To be honest,
I get worried that too many Obafemis against Braun Breaker and things like that are gonna too many once in a lifetime matches early on.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing though. We've seen these matches happen, and I don't want to, not literally a million times, but like how many times have we seen like a Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn go at it? You know what I mean? How many times did we see, I don't know, Triple H and Mick Foley or Stone Cold and The Rock? Like,
I'm not even saying big time. I'm not even saying because it's like star versus star. I'm saying Braun Breaker gives off, Obafemi, Bronson Reed, Beast, Braun Strowman.
But I think it's a fight for the top. I guess bad way of saying it, top dog. Even though he is, he barks all the time. But I think it's just it's building what we're looking for. We're looking for a bunch of these guys to take over because let's be honest, CM Punk, he's right around the same age as Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns is in his 40s. John Cena just retired last year. AJ Styles is not coming through the door. Like and Damian Priest, I mean, I know it's at a different level, but Damian Priest is also in his 40s. Cody Rhodes is not getting younger. I believe Cody Rhodes is in his early 40s at this point. I don't have the date off the top of my head. So you got to have these guys that are in their late 20s. You got to push them. You're like, we need to.
Oh, they definitely need to push for sure.
And here's the thing. I think what we learned with Braun Breaker recently was it was a little too fast for him because then he got pushed back. They had to pull the reins back a little bit, make him more of a tag team specialist for the time being. And I think now they're ready to unleash him again. And it's a sink or swim thing for him. I'm not worried about Oba. Oba's already a made man with everything that's happened. And he's handled it very well. And he's doing all the right things. Like he's checking all those boxes for me. So I think going into the future here, Oba is going to be on the marquee for the next 10 years.
Speaking of big monsters, we saw the return of Big Cass on Monday Night Raw this past week, looking better than ever. Yeah. What are your hopes for Big Cass so that this run lasts a little longer than his last one in 2018?
I mean, you just mentioned it. He looks like $1 million. I mean, not to shame anybody, and that's not what we do, but he was not as tight in the midsection as he is now. That dude's in the best shape of his life. Kudos to Big Cass. I know he's gone through a lot of things. We're not going to talk about it because that could be a whole different episode. But I'm happy to see that it seems like he's mentally and physically in the best shape of his life. And the way he came out and debuted, I liked it. And I also liked the promo that he cut backstage. I thought that was good. I know a lot of people I think are expecting Enzo to be right next to him. I'm just worried that without Enzo, does he have a little bit of a run and then he goes off to the sunset again? I just worry. I just worry how they're building it. But I know it's one night, one promo. I liked it. I just hope WWE can keep that going. I wanted to be a legit badass, and whether Enzo comes or not, I want Cass to be able to stand on his own and do his own thing. And I think that was a step in the right direction where he can talk on the microphone because he did a nice backstage interview. I thought he did a good job there. His physique he's a different man. And the way he attacked, Javon Evans, I thought that was good. I'm I just don't want WWE to fumble. That's my worry.
Speaking of fumbling or, obviously getting somebody to the next level here, we've talked about this gentleman forever, but I'm not a big fan of his promo this past week on Raw, coming off of SummerSlam. So we'll start with talking about why SummerSlam to me is like a fly to event, because the main event of SummerSlam, which was Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, despite the fact that, to be honest with you, I haven't been to a SummerSlam in many years where the result of the main event wasn't already well known. It's different than WrestleMania, I guess, in that sense. I mean, I guess WrestleMania, we know where we're kind of going as well. But with SummerSlam, it's like very foregone. Remember, Detroit was Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns in the middle of his major run. Yeah. Jey Uso was not being crowned world champion against Roman Reigns in his 1,000-day run. Okay. The year after that was the Cody Rhodes on his 6th month of finishing the story against not Cena, not Rock, Solo Sikoa. We all knew where that was going as well. Last year, John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, I would say, especially after John Cena went back to being face on the SmackDown before, just out of nowhere, we knew, okay, well, John Cena's retiring very soon. He's not going to leave as the champion. That's pretty much a foregone conclusion in that title change. And this one, Roman Reigns beating Seth Rollins, was kind of a foregone conclusion because Roman Reigns, again, is that marquee player. I see him main eventing WrestleMania. I don't see him losing the belt until we get to some big opponent next year at Mania. But we got a big star coming up along the way. And, we got 10 weeks, which is like a historically long amount of time till the next PLE. But LA Knight came out after the good guys won on Saturday at SummerSlam. And I didn't really dig his promo in the sense of him saying, like, you wish you were me. No offense, LA Knight. And I understand you're hot and cool, and maybe Roman Reigns wishes he was a little more popular, not just a champion. But LA Knight, Roman Reigns has many championships, historic championships, is a certified Hall of Famer. Cohen, like, come on. You wish you had what I had kind of thing.
Nobody's buying that. That was probably LA Knight's worst promo that I've seen of him in a very long time. Like, he's usually, I would put him up there in the top 5, top 10 on the mic. Wasn't a good promo. Like, you just said it. I would rather be Roman Reigns than LA Knight. I mean, like, who's buying? You'd rather be me when it's Roman Reigns does not want to be LA Knight. Let's be honest. Like, Roman Reigns has built such a legacy, a fortune. His kids are set. The next, his grandkids are set because of the foundation he has built in the last handful of years. No offense, LA Knight, you just got here compared to Roman Reigns. Sorry, bud. I as much as I love LA Knight, that wasn't the approach. That wasn't.
And it's definitely his time. I think it is definitely time to give him a title shot. But I mean, Roman Reigns is coming off a historically long, about 2 years ago, title reign, right? Like, it just silly sounding to me to say, like,
it wasn't. He should have done the whole cracking the jokes and making fun of Roman, and he could have, like we know LA Knight will do it. He'll look at somebody's hair or something, or his, maybe he could have made fun of Roman getting his teeth done or something. Like LA Knight's good at making fun of people. Like, that's a good shtick to have in the business, because The Rock made a lot of money doing it back in the day when we were kids. LA Knight could do it and still cut a promo and then be serious at the same time. But nobody's buying what you just said. Roman Reigns is not trying to be you. You just want to be you. LA Knight wants to be Roman Reigns, because what has LA Knight done? He's always been there, kind of in the picture, but not in the
unchosen,
picture.
As they say on Unreal, right? That's the whole t-shirt.
Hey, you know what? There is a guy that fought his way, and I know it's not the main title, but he just got his first singles title that we've all been asking for a long time for a singles title. He just got it. Hopefully LA Knight will get it at some point, but I'm glad Chad Gable did. I'm going to transition to Chad Gable, because Chad Gable, that to me was a foregone conclusion. There is no way he was leaving SummerSlam in his home city, his home state, without that championship. And by the way, hell of a match. I thought him and Penta did a great job. That was a really good match. And as a Chad Gable, I've been saying push Gable for years. We've done this on the podcast for years. So when he got the 1, 2, 3, that was pretty freaking sweet to me. And the same goes, and I know you probably felt the same way about another wrestler that got a title, Chelsea Green. You probably felt how great I felt about Chad Gable. I was thinking of you when Chelsea won. I was like, there's one of Jared's favorites, getting the title that I feel like she's been overlooked for so long.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if she's one of my favorites in that sense, but I really enjoy Chelsea Green, and I will tell you that I did not realize how, like, because when she came out, she got an ovation just like everybody else.
Oh yeah,
right. But when the first time around, when she started climbing up to get the belt before, BFAB and Michin came out and stopped her, like that place was the loudest they had been. This is what day are we on? Sunday, right? We're on Sunday.
yeah.
In the 2 days I've been there, this is the loudest pop I've heard all weekend. And I was like, oh, she's this popular? I mean, like, even if they weren't going to give her the belt, I mean, they like after just hearing that in the back, they had to be like pivot, pivot, pivot. If that wasn't the plan, because of just how the crowd just erupted.
The fans
in unison.
The fans wanted. The WWE universe has been calling for it, and WWE listened and they delivered. And I'm not. I know you're a bigger fan of Chelsea Green than I am. I don't mind her. Like I'm not. I'm kind of, I don't know, maybe a little bit more than indifferent. I don't want to say, I think some of her work's fine. Like I'm good with it. Like
I just think she's a new face. I just think we see a lot of the same faces. It's time to get somebody. Yes.
I liked it. It was fun. And you know what? And I will tell you this because, I have one of my daughters, she's 7. She watched it with me and she was so excited because she likes Chelsea Green too. So she's like she's a bigger fan of Chelsea Green than I am. And she was popping. She's like, Daddy, she just won. And I'm like, I know, that was pretty cool. Like, I was excited for it. It was a weekend of moments, and you are right. You were there. I mean, I could hear it on the broadcast. People were popping for Chelsea when she got that title. That was a cool moment.
What do you think the highlight of the weekend was, and what's some things you're looking forward to now that SummerSlam is over, maybe even more so after SummerSlam? Like, meaning you didn't know you'd be looking forward to until.
I mean, it's so tough because we just talked about so many great moments. I mean,
Kevin Owens coming back is a big moment for me. I thought that was one of the highlights.
Yeah, I mean, for me, because I think that's low hanging fruit with the Kevin Owens. I don't want to go low hanging on this one. I mean, this is probably still low hanging, to be honest. Is we got kind of the end of the road for now with Seth and Roman with the whole Shield thing. Like I thought that was cool. I really, that to me was someone who watched the entire career of the entirety of the Shield and what everybody has done since. That to me was probably the moment of the weekend and seeing what's next. But I also feel like it's closure, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the door is still cracked a little bit open. I know we were exchanging text messages and just to share that text message kind of verbatim, I guess. Don't be surprised. Royal Rumble a couple years from now. AEW and John Moxley, maybe that contract ends, just in time for Royal Rumble in 2028. Maybe just in time for another one for the road, so to speak.
What I thought would have been funny, actually, kind of what you're talking about with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. What if Kurt Angle came out, huh? He was part of the Shield.
Yeah, right? That would have ruined it for me.
That would have ruined it for you.
Yeah, that would have definitely ruined it for me because it's just the fact that they acknowledged Dean Ambrose, John Moxley, and AW. They acknowledged him, and they did his moves. They each did it. They each did a one move, Dirty Deeds, and then I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but the clothesline from the ropes, like that's I forget what they called it in WWE, but I know they called it Dirty Deeds is the the DDT that Roman did. And just the mask, the whole setup where they put the fist bump at the end and they acknowledge each other like, all right, we're good. They're good until about 2028. Because there's to me, if they can get Dean Ambrose to come back, John Moxley to come back as Dean Ambrose, who the hell's not going to want to see them as a triple threat at WrestleMania in a few years? I know that's fantasy booking, but that would be the real closure to one of the greatest factions in the history of the business.
Before I tell you like my big moments from the weekend, because most of them probably don't even have to do with the event, but Roman Reigns, Rey Mysterio in the back as Raw went off the air. Rey Mysterio reminding him or telling him, because he didn't know, that he is the general manager of AAA. It appears that we're moving towards a tournament to decide who will be the, not LA Knight necessarily, maybe LA Knight at Money in the Bank. Because like I said, we have 10 weeks until the next PLE. So we're moving towards a tournament, it looks like, to decide who is going to be Roman Reigns' number one contender, and where it could culminate on a September edition of Monday Night Raw live from Mexico City. Would you rather see, if from this perspective, would you rather see Roman versus a competitor in Mexico City? Or would you rather see Roman Reigns featured somehow on AAA, obviously with Triple Mania and things coming up between now and then?
I would rather see Roman on Triple Mania, but I don't even, this is not a bad alternative. My early prediction is it would make so much sense because the match they're setting up is in Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. The winner of this tournament faces Roman in Mexico on Raw, right?
Yes.
Like December. What about El Grande Americano facing Roman Reigns September? That, because to me, that makes the most sense because he's so over in Mexico. Imagine the atmosphere of how much the people love El Grande Americano in Mexico and how much people love Roman Reigns in general. Anyways, bringing those two worlds together, and it also, it's not a predictable like, oh yeah, WWE superstar, not a AAA star, is facing him in Mexico. Like, that would be cool because El Grande Americano is a AAA guy. He's a AAA act. That's where he is now. He's a AAA act. That would be cool to see a AAA act who is over like Grover on Raw facing Roman Reigns in a little over a month. That'd be cool.
As somebody who wants to visit Mexico City eventually and needs kind of, I mean, not like there's not reasons, but needs maybe a little more of a push. I'd love SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, whatever, to finally make their way to there, because I know it's probably it's got a lot going on, and obviously wrestling would be apropos to go there because it is, like we talked about, right? You got Triple Mania coming up with the two nights, one in Vegas, one in Mexico, and a Monday Night Raw, which I believe is all like the same weekend. I think like Vegas has got Triple Mania on Saturday. Mexico's got Triple Mania night 2 on Sunday, and then Raw is that Monday. So like, I don't know why we're doing 2 cities for Triple Mania. I mean, WWE's got their own thing going. I guess they're trying to do they're doing the precursor for like Saudi Arabia style, right? We're like, all right, well, we want to really get people to go to this, but let's see, maybe we should have one night safely in the United States. You know what I mean? Like where we know they'll attend. You know what I mean? And not like saying that if WrestleMania is 2 nights in Saudi Arabia, it won't both be 2 nights in Saudi Arabia. But we're already seeing with WWE, obviously backtracking some of the events being in America on top of Saudi Arabia. So maybe WWE's trying to be like, let's make it America and Mexico so we can try to get some of the people who may be too tepid to travel to Mexico or maybe don't have the money to go to see a part of it here, easier. But overall, to conclude all of this, some highlights from SummerSlam weekend were, 1, getting to see professional wrestling in the Mall of America, the home of the first ever episode of WCW Nitro. I saw Friday Night Nitro. That's what they called it, obviously for good reason, right? Because of the significance of the Mall of America and the spot in the Mall of America. I got to see Eddie Kingston wrestle. I got to see Effie and Allie Ketch from GCW as part of the show as well. I also didn't have to watch the whole show because it's free in the Mall of America, so you can just go shopping, you can watch them wrestling, you can move on, you can go out to dinner. So that was really cool, seeing wrestling in the Mall of America, and probably maybe in front of a bigger crowd than when WCW was there. But it was cool because you can obviously parlay the 2 pictures of WCW, like right where Lex Luger stood in front of the Great Railroad Model Train store, and Service Merchandise in the background, which those stores are no longer there. But it's cool. It was in the same exact spot. Another thing that I did not know existed, but right next to the stadium, and luckily, weirdly enough, not busy. There was 2 restaurants next to the stadium. One busy, like too busy to even walk in. And then one like busy enough to like know it's all wrestling fans in there, but like not busy enough to not get a table. And that was Argentinian pizza. I've never gotten pizza that is Argentina style, but it was amazing. I got both a pepperoni and I got an arugula with prosciutto. And I will tell you, they put an entire bag of arugula on this thing. I had to actually physically take handfuls of it off the pizza. That was a little much. I like arugula, but literally they just dumped like, I mean, it stood 4 inches off the table. From the bottom of the pizza to the top of the arugula. It was kind of crazy, but overall, did not know I needed that. Getting some Danhausen face paint before night 2 of WrestleMania or SummerSlam, say WrestleMania, and then getting a picture with a Minihausen out front was quite a highlight of SummerSlam weekend as well. So that was pretty cool. I will say one of the negatives. I will say is that the SummerSlam store, I left with no merchandise. I got nothing SummerSlam related. Everything sucked. I'll say that much. I didn't like any of the hats. They had a few all right t-shirts, but just no souvenir cups, none of the stuff that you kind of get WrestleMania weekend. So negative from Fanatics in that regard. But WrestleCon was free, and I did take a walk through. And I will tell you, we talked about it here before, I'm not the kind of person who pays money to go meet anybody. Yeah. But I was very tempted because Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler, dressed obviously, as they do, Jerry Lawler with his crown and all, we're at a table together doing dual pictures. And I didn't look into how much it cost. I was very close to do that. So, because getting a picture with Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler together, I think that might have been pretty cool. Kind of sad seeing Jake the Snake Roberts, who's sitting next to him, on an oxygen tank. That was kind of sad. But I mean, walking through WrestleCon and seeing all the people, and it's a little bit presented differently than WWE because WWE presents it so like they're on high stages, they're like Miles Bourne taking autographs and stuff makes him look like The Rock. When at WrestleCon, they're like individuals sitting at tables, and you can just walk right up to people in like a little conference room in the Hilton Hotel. It's cool seeing them nonetheless. It's cool riding the escalator with John Laurinaitis. You can't ask him for a picture, though, because he's literally 5 feet away from charging for a picture, so not the appropriate place to do so. But that was some of my highlights from SummerSlam. Overall, a good trip. But we're back, and we're on to the next, right? We got big pay-per-views and big PLEs coming up, but not for a while.